It's a new rebrand from Mortgage Growth System, but we've been doing this for a little over 10 years. So we've
Mortgage
worked with
Pro.
Mortgage. It was Mortgage Growth System was our previous name.
Was that tied to Barry Habib or no?
No, we're kind of like you, solo thing. We do, I shouldn't say we have a team, a pretty big team, but solo in the sense that we're not tied to anybody else. And
Because
Joel
I
just happened
didn't,
to be
yeah,
different.
but didn't Barry have something? It was something called like mortgage. Anyway,
Yeah, he did. It's been a minute. We haven't really been on the traditional residential mortgage side in nearly 5 years, and
yeah.
we've been head deep in the private money side of things since about 2021.
Looking forward to it then. I was just asking.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So, and then we have all kinds of stuff on the back end. Chrissy's been doing the brokering for 2.5 years, 2 years, something like that, 2.5 years.
Having fun yet?
It's always fun, right?
You
So
know, I
every
you
day
know
is a fun.
I've been dating the same girl on and off for 44 years, and she just laughs and she goes, yeah, because she sees sometimes when I'm like frustrated as hell. She goes, well, why can't you just why not just see find something else? I go, one, I'm a trick pony, and two, it's a situation of how do you say it, as much as it makes me nuts, it's fun, and I most of the time I sort of know how it's going to spin. I know where the guy's going, but you have to let him take you there.
Yep. I don't mean to steal your thunder here, but I see we have some people coming in. I
By
just
all
wanted to
means,
make sure
I'll shut up. You can mute me, in
it's
fact.
all good. I just want to make sure everybody knew that we know you're here, and as you might be able to see on the screen, just gonna wait just a couple minutes, maybe do some audio checks with Joel here to see if we can hear him, and then we'll get going to see who jumps on today. Joel, you want to test your audio for us? Make sure we're good.
Hi, Rich. How you doing?
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm
We're
going to
so
step off
excited to
camera
have
for a second, just go get a water. Hang on.
and honored. No worries.
Wise guy.
Thanks everyone for coming on here. Like I said, what do you want to wait here? Another minute or two, and then we can start jumping in and see if we can't give you guys some information, insights, and all kinds of good stuff that makes you jumping on today worth your time.
Yep. Sounds good. Thanks for coming, Joel. We're so excited.
Thank you
Yeah,
for having me on. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
And Brandon's still here, right? Okay, good. I don't
I'm
remember
still.
who I was talking to, but they knew who your DJ name was.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
They were 21. Oh, I know who it was. They were 21 years old. They knew who it was.
That's too funny.
That's pretty cool. I thought.
I suppose it's just a hobby.
For now. For
Just a
now.
hobby
When you
for now.
retire, you can be
Yeah,
the
when I retire, I'm going to be so pro.
grandpa DJ.
Yeah,
DJ.
Grandpa DJ.
Grandpa DJ.
there'll be
Very nice.
seniors. There'll be senior homes where you can work. Don't worry.
Yeah. They'll love me. I'll get their joints moving. That's what we'll do.
Or the wheels moving, right?
Yeah, something, one of the two.
There's a few of them out there, Brandon. I don't know if you've come across. There's a guy that I think he's Polish, but he's like a pretty old DJ. He sets up outside on trash cans and things, but he's really good.
That's good.
And I'll bet
There's
you
hope.
one
There's
day.
hope for my retirement years then. All right, good.
You should have
I
led
didn't
me
know
with
what
really good before you went with old.
I'm getting there. 40,
Really
I turned 48 last week, so retirement's not too far
Joel,
around
tell
the
him how old you are.
Me?
corner.
I'm 36,
Yeah, in,
36.
in
72.
dog years.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm 65, so and it's still playing. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm 63.
Nice. Well, do we want to go ahead and get started?
Sure.
I'm good
Sure.
with that.
Lead us out, as they say.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks to everybody for coming. This is the first of a series that we're going to have featuring Joel. Joel, I was trying to look up all the information about your accolades, and there's so many, and I know you're constantly doing more, and so I didn't know how up to date what I was finding was, but I know you've been doing this for a long time, and
Yeah, and it shows, as Rich would say.
Uh, but you're not just a broker or a lender. You're not just a broker and a lender. You're also an investor.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of experience on both sides of things. And you're also an author. You've written this book. Hopefully it's not backwards, but
It is
yeah,
backwards, but it's
7
okay.
Steps to Financial Freedom. So, which is a great book. I recommend it. So yeah.
Where can we get that book, Joel?
Yeah, Joel, tell us where we
That
can get
book
that.
is available on Amazon. We do sell it for the whopping cost of 99 cents
Woo, that's
so that
pricey.
no one can ever complain they didn't get their money's worth. But all kidding aside, I mean, look, for some of you guys, I know your names already. I haven't really met you, but I've seen you in emails and or some of you I've met. For me, traveling around the country for the last, God knows, 20 plus years, a lot of times you're waiting to speak and you might be behind some well-known name. They give their spiel, they go to sell something, and that something's like 15 to 35 or more $1,000. And you're thinking to yourself, that's just insane, right? Nobody needs to do that if they're really doing this and they're claiming to make, 5, 10, 12 million bucks a year. And they need to like scrounge the crowd for an extra 8,000 today. Like it doesn't make sense to me. So I got really frustrated with that and decided through a friend to finally put something together where a lot of thoughts that you've had along the road that we just put in there and some helpful tips that people could just put their arms around for $10, 99 cents, listen to it in the car, pick up a couple of tips, help them make some extra money in their business or help them even create something or just get themselves, calmed down and under control financially. Because I think as brokers, for a lot of us, we all have had friends that are in this business. And the sad part is they get older and they really don't have any savings and they don't have the ability. I know Brandon said he was 48 and retirement wasn't far away, but they don't have that ability to do that. And to me, look, I gave away my retirement plans in both of my divorces. So I had to figure out another way. And for me, that was to continually invest in real estate. And that's my retirement plan, right? Because I can put it in a trust, I can put it in something so no really good attorney can take it from me anymore. I learned that the hard way. But for all of us helping each other to understand, how to get our own finances under control and start to put that away, especially as you grow your business and there's an opportunity to start doing that. And even it's as simple as putting away 300 or 500 a month, but just start doing something, right? There's a lot of tax laws set up to help us. I know, oh, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes in our office, people are either bitching, laughing, or whatever about Donald Trump, but I get to use the same tax laws that him and his buddies are out there fighting for, even for my simple single or two family. And I want to be able to do that. And again, for me, we have a bunch of 25 or 20 somethings in the office. I'm not allowed to call them kids. I get in trouble, but that is something that we harp on all the time. Either invest in a loan, invest in a piece of real estate, put it into the index funds so you don't have to think about it, and just put it away every single month so that I just have had too many business friends in this industry die with cancer at 68. And the last years, they're still like trying to close loans. They can't even enjoy those years with their family. So, we want to try to help people see that and do something different. I mean, that's tragic, right? I mean, it took me a lot of years to get under control. That's the truth. And it wasn't simple, but when I finally got myself under control and started to think a little bigger, things started to happen better. And, my son and daughter are here working with us in our company. If you've ever been on our website, we have, 10 people between 23, 4 and 28. It's crazy to me, right? But we have people overseas now. I never thought I'd see that change. And now we're reading documents that you guys send us with AI tools. So I don't read them until it discovers a problem, right? Then we look at it. So things are changing rapidly in our space again, and they're going to keep evolving for the next 24 months, 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side is, you could be really nervous, you could be scared, you could be excited, you can learn and get on the train early and start to put it to work for you in your businesses. And it's incredible to me, as short as 5, 6 years ago, a computer was this great tool that I just used to send emails. I didn't understand you could talk to 100,000 people at once. Maybe not at once, but Brandon and Chrissy know better than I. You get flagged with all these different email chains, but you learn how to get them out through 50 different skeleton emails. I forgot the name of them, but where you have all these different emails and you can put the chains out and it all looks like it comes from the same email. But, now we're talking to 10,000 people at a shot. And yes, that's a lot of cold outreach, but even at 2 or 3% at that number, it starts to add up to real loans for you. And, Chrissy and I met a while back. We met through Alex. And one of the biggest mistakes I think brokers make is spend too much time trying to find new people. Your best customers are right there, the people you already closed for, and cultivating those relationships and growing them out, and then just asking for referrals because you earn that right. And if you're not doing that, kind of shame on us, right? You close 2, 3 loans for the same person, and you're going to tell me they're not hanging out with 2 or 3 people who look like them with a couple different properties or situations or opportunities. I find it almost impossible to believe after 30 years. It's just not real. That's who they hang out with. So,
Yeah.
Chrissy mentioned this to me a little while ago. I thought it would be a really cool thing to do just to talk with everybody and help people and listen to your questions because I learned from that as well. Uh, I started out brokering loans a long time ago. We became a third-party origination shop, and more recently we became an aggregator, so we can actually fund our own loans and then sell them off. So we're in the process of finishing up our arrangements with all the different back-end buyers as well, so that we're uber competitive with all the names you know. But that's not really the point of being here. The point of being here is to have dialogue and discussion and to help you maybe think of some different things or ways that you're not actively pursuing or thinking about inside of your business to help you grow your businesses. Eventually, yes, I'm not Santa Claus. Altruistically, eventually we'll get a couple loans out of the whole group. That'd be great. But that's not really the driving force behind it all. Uh, if you guys have seen me comment in some of the different real estate groups online, you're going to see that I'm really blunt. I'm pretty straight to the point. I don't do the DM thing. DM me. I don't give a shit about DM. No one does either on the other side. I think one of the mistakes that people make is they think of what they can do. Nobody listening cares, right? It's all what's in it for them. And just directly telling them exactly what you can do has gotten me a good number of loans, not hundreds of thousands. Not trying to mislead anybody. But you post what you really can do in those chats, and I tell you, at least once a week, you're going to get somebody who's serious reaching out to you. And once they reach out to you directly, your closing rate is very high. And I don't think enough people do that. They post that picture of themselves with like the 15 bullet points on DSCR loans that your company does. Again, no one cares. No one cares. They want to know if it's 6 and an eighth and what your fees are. Just tell them. Don't be afraid. You're not going to fit every single model. We don't win every deal, but it eliminates a lot of competition because you see other people don't even react in the box, right? They just keep going with the DM thing. Well, their rates aren't better then, or they haven't brokered around the country to find the better rate yet. And the borrower who posted there, even if they post anonymous, is going to reach out to you. I mean, we've had people literally from Jamaica, the island of Canada. We had somebody from South Africa who was working for Meta for 9 months. We closed for her. I met her through the internet that way. So people are watching what you do all the time and understanding and learning how to send better text messages with meaning and intent, understanding how to do that in your emails, and always thinking of it from the customer side, not your side. Because again, not to be a real broken record, but no one cares what we think. They care what's good for them. And once we get over ourselves a bit and start to think that way, it's going to save you time, cut down frustration, see who's real faster. Like, I'll be honest, at this point, I just want to find people who are in loans 9 months or 6 months, 6 to 9 months, and market to them. Kiavi's the biggest lender in the country, right? We all agree, there's no argument, right? $6 billion of fix and flip loans. Well, they used to all close in sales, now they don't. And over 50% of their book is converting to long-term loans. So if you can just increase your conversion rate by 1% of their total number, you got a business, right? That's $60 million in loans for you for the year. That's the beginning of a business, right? That's 5 million a month. 2 points, it's 100 grand a month. Net of expenses, say 65,000, 60,000. Well, most of us could manage in America still to live on 720 grand a year. But most people aren't going backwards through the numbers and seeing what they really have to do. Like I asked my guys, how many calls you make today? Now, truthfully, we have some people. Rich and I live in the same general area, and he understands what I'm going to say. Some people went to nice high schools, nice colleges, they drive nice cars, they're too nice. And you look down after 8 hours and you made 10 calls, you should hang it up. You're not getting anywhere in our business that way. It's not possible. It's a math equation. And every time one drops off cold, you have to increase by three, not one. That's a mistake people make. They don't understand because you got to go backwards through your closing ratio, right? And I know when I first met Brandon, it's one of the things he talked about with us. Like you have to understand how that math really works. And the only thing in your whole life, including me, that will never lie to you is the math. So if you're going to cheat the math, you're cheating yourself. And you'll definitely end up with my haircut. You'll get ulcers and the bald head, right? And you don't want that. Nobody wants that here.
Do
But
you still think cold calling is like the best way to reach new clients, or what are you guys doing?
when you say cold call, do you literally mean like out of the blue
Or are you
cold?
talking about warm calling? I guess like calling old leads.
We definitely call old leads. Old leads probably convert somewhere between 10 and 15% of the time. I don't know exact number. You guys know it better than me, but definitely 1 out of 10 if you really stay with them. And
Hmm.
again, that gives you an opportunity to ask for referral because you already earned that by having closed for them previously or giving them good information previously. For us, we will also introduce the concept, do you have something that's out of the box? And maybe we could fund it privately for you. If it's up and down the East Coast, we'll fund with our own money for real. And it doesn't have to fit the boxes, right? It can be mixed use. Oh my God, mixed use, right? It's horrible. Or a commercial building like the world was going to implode, right? It's a pizzeria and two apartments, and you would think we were throwing arsenic at the industry, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Not,
yeah, I
not
don't want to fund the baby gap because they could close up one day, but pizzeria, Chinese food, bodegas, those types of stores that they go in and out of business every 12 seconds and keep staying at the same place. We like those. And we're here in the greater five boroughs around Manhattan, or if you're down in Virginia and you're in and around Washington, D.C., or you go down to Florida and you're around the bigger areas, there's tons of buildings like that. And they go unloved in our industry, but for all of us, those can be 400 to $2 million loans. So even if you're pulling only 1 point out of a $1.6 million loan, it's still a good afternoon. I mean, come on. You guys tell me, like, if you don't want to make $16,000, you let me know. I'll handle the loan for you. Right? I mean, I don't care how much money you have. It's still good. Come on. So, we want to start to think that way as a group. And the groups that Chrissy and Brandon are putting together, one of the things that I like about it, it's taking some of the adversarial nature out of the brokerage business and trying to figure out a way to have people help each other. There's so much opportunity out there. I go to events, you sit on a panel, half the people on the panel want to MF you, right? They just view you as, your competition. Like, you guys crazy. There are so many people out there with $150,000 DSCR loans, and you're like worried about what I'm doing? Like, you're out of your mind. Like, go find 10, 15, 20 new ones. How about that? These companies are spending fortunes and they have no idea what they're spending the money on. Like the whole industry posts these closed and funded things. Do you think anyone cares? Like you closed a $112,000 DSCR loan in, no offense, Indianapolis. Like, come on, right? Seriously, RCN post that, and six of the recently funded, five of them are those types of loans. Is that really impressive from RCN at 250,000 plus a month in marketing? Like, come on. Right? So what can you do differently? Why not figure out how to look at Kiavi's list, right? Understand what they close under. What's the trust name they close their loans under? Go to the counties where you can find the high ticket items and then see when those months are 6 months old, excuse me. Use various programs that Chrissy will be happy to instruct you with. such to be able to strip the phone numbers, the real ones, and start dialing for dollars. Those people got to do something, right? Versus someone who says to you, well, do you guys do rapid rescore? I got like a 628 credit score and I need to get it up to 680 to qualify. And can we spend 4 months together, 6 months together, 8 months together to do that so that maybe I can go qualify somewhere? Versus a person that you can clearly see already has 3 loans under their belt, 6 months into a refi, potential refi scenario, and you want to get them. Why leave that?
Yeah.
These people are no better than you. You can see Rock today put out a big promo through all their different versions, right? CV3, Finance Corp of America, and Rocket Self Direct. No legal fees for the month for DSCR loans because they're doing so well with them. They suck at them. So does Kiavi. They don't even have them set up in their portal, right? It's all RTL. So that gives you a good opportunity to go hunting in their client base. To me, that's like the lowest lying fruit in the street. That's the only place I spend my time. I'm not interested in finding the other scenarios. Those will find you naturally. But spending your time with, for lack of a better term, sure things, like I joke with Chrissy off camera, but those are the proven crack users, right? They smoke crack, just sell them the crack. They figure out how to do it every day, right? No matter what. So just stay there with them. I mean, I know that's not an elegant analogy, but real.
Not
Those
exactly
people
an
are
elegant
always going to
business.
find a way.
What'd you say, Alex?
It's not exactly an elegant business for the most part.
Yeah, we can
Right,
say terms like
true. Very true. Very
that.
Well, you've been doing this for a long time, so you've built up a pretty good reputation and people know you in this industry. What kind of advice would you give to newer brokers who are still trying to build that authority out there?
Look, I feel like learning your craft well is important, most important thing, right? And then turning that to giving away free information. Myself, Chrissy, Brandon, other people like that, you follow or talk about Alex Hermosi a lot, Gary V's at World, some of the bigger influencers, they're just giving away information all day. They're never telling you what they charge. You call in and tell them you want to work with them. I'm not saying it's that easy in our business. It's not. That's delusional for me to say that. But to build your brand and your brand being an authority, Chrissy's right. That's really important. People want to buy in to confidence, competence, and some kindness. I think those three things can really separate you from a lot of people in our space. I mean, when I first met Chrissy, she talked about this one person in America who she called up who was a lender. And the guy was just a major asshole on the phone. And I said, "Oh, it's this person." She's like, "How'd you know?" Because that's the person's reputation. And that's why he always has a lot of money to lend because nobody wants it. If you're going to act that way, hang up the phone and go to the next person. There's tons of guys like Joel Kraut out there. So
Who
if you're
was
not,
it? We gotta know who it was. Come on.
you guys know who it is. You got, I would imagine most of you have run into him at some point, but he's built that, he earned that reputation, and that's definitely what you don't want, right? These the 8 people in the country that really have the money, they'll give you ridiculous amounts of money. They need you to move the needles. Don't be an asshole. Go work with people, build some relationships, and keep funneling the money. I mean, I know it's hard to get started. We talk about that in the office all the time, but it comes back to making calls. How many of you actually have 1 hour blocked a day just to make phone calls to prospects? Probably not that many. 1 hour. I'm not talking about 8. I'm not trying to ruin your life. 1 hour, 60 minutes. Can you make 20 plus phone calls in 60 minutes? Don't stop and go to your CRM and get lost in the easy shit. Go back to the CRM after. Send 30 minutes of text messages. Send 30 minutes of emails. Those are easy to hide behind, right? Phone calls are a little more stressful, but look, most of this stuff is really cliche. Get more comfortable with the uncomfortable. do the hardest thing first in the day. But there's a reason they're all cliches. They're right. You know, I mean, that's the bad part or good part for all of us. I was teaching two of the young people in the office today about eating the frog. They both looked at me like I was out of my mind, right? But if you ever read any Brian Tracy stuff, eating the frog means just do the hardest thing you got to do first for the day, and everything else is easier. So I call the person that I have to give the worst news of the day to. I completely ruin their 9 o'clock hour and makes the rest of my day easier. I'm not really trying to ruin their day, but Jimmy Flores is dependent upon me to give him an honest answer quick, right? Because if he needs to keep moving, he needs to keep moving. He doesn't want to sit around waiting for me, taking, 96 hours to yay or nay it. That doesn't help him. So, again, finding people inside of this industry that you can become somewhat business friendly with or even develop a couple real friendships can really go a long way to helping you.
For sure.
Building networks of people who have experience and are willing to share it, that's different than everybody. I think the good players in our space don't view you as competition. They view you as potential. And I like the people who view people as potential because together we might do something great. I've had the opportunity to have people call me up and ask for larger new construction loans of $3 million. They weren't really sure what to do. They hadn't done that yet. Would we split the commission? Like, of course. What do you mean? Well, so and so said I should call you. You know how to get it done. Like, you want to build that kind of reputation. Some of it, you're going to spend 30 minutes with people sometimes when they're learning, just answering some questions, being honest with them, help steer them in the right direction. And again, like, I just don't view them as competition. Like, the United States of America is the map I'm looking at. And if I can't find, you know, 1,000 loans a year there, something's wrong with me, truthfully. We have a very low marketing budget, very low for what we do. Uh, I like to Chrissy's original question, like, do you really just reach out to people? Yes. I spend a lot of time on the road going to events and talking with people, and for me, it's fun. I don't really view it as work. I actually enjoy it, and I learn a lot about what's going on in different parts of the country. And it's helped, especially during this transition the last 2 years when your whole life was in Florida and Texas all day, right? Because for 2 years, 2.5 years, I spent my day, basically learning city to city in Texas. In Florida, I was pretty good, but I learned a lot about the Panhandle and the northern sections of Florida, which I didn't know much about, truthfully. And that's where I spend 2 years. Now I spend, quarter of one day a month there. There's just not that much going on in DFW and in South Florida. Yes, Alex.
I was trying to make the thing go off. I wasn't like waving you down.
Oh,
But yes, I do have a question. Like when you say you're traveling around, I mean, are you going to conferences and things like that? Is that what you're referring to? Like just, or like investor conferences or lender conferences? Is it worth going to those?
if I was you guys, I wouldn't spend a nickel at the lender conferences. You go once every 2 years just to see who's out there. I mean, we're so vanilla, we're so similar to each other. Do you really need like that? But if you can get to environments where the end users, the borrowers themselves are
Yes,
at,
that's what
that's
I meant.
more valuable to me. So even if I'm in a room of only 50 people instead of 1,000 at a conference, like when we go to IMN, it's the biggest waste of 20,000 bucks in 2 days. Right? The third day, everyone doesn't even show up. So they break everything down by noon. So that's a complete waste. And they have this cocktail party, which is wonderful. So all the cliques get together and don't let anybody new in. It's like going back to high school. And out of 1,000 people, 800 are vendors. Is that really going to change your day? And you're sitting there competing with, you got the heads of each one of the companies. Tesh is there from RCN, Fertig from Constructive. You got a Bromwich from Rock. Like they're going to attract the attention. It's going to be hard for you to have that conversation. But if I'm going to end user land where there's 300 people, or sometimes even only 50, and you really can get one-on-one conversations and see what's going on, you're going to convert those people and you're going to get on their agenda, which is great.
You mean
And
like maybe like the local RIA meeting,
yeah,
things like that?
some of the companies, some of the TPO shops we know around the country tell us that 50% of their business comes from their registration at all the REIAs. 50%, that's their, where they really mine stuff from.
Okay.
And along those lines, it's really simple to see with technology where all the loans are coming from, right? You can see the top 12 cities in America. So why would you go elsewhere? Pick three, become an expert in the area. So you really sound like you know what you're talking about the geography, how the systems work there, what the government is like relative to landlord, right? Landlord tenant. So you can have a conversation, a meaningful dialogue with your client, your customer. They want to hear that you understand what's going on locally, right? That makes them feel more comfortable that they're working with a knowledgeable man or woman. That's what they want.
Yeah, I know you and I have talked a lot about that conversation, the borrower conversation. Maybe can you dive into that a little bit? Some of the mistakes that you've seen that people make on those phone calls, especially like that first phone call, or obviously in person is a different scenario. But
The worst phone call I ever hear in my office. Hey, my name is so-and-so. What's up? Like that phone call should never be made, right? You got to be more intentional about your calls and think them through before you're having them. Not every single one, but the concepts of what you're going to go over, what kind of yes, no questions. Don't use yes, no questions. Yes, no questions are horrible. They allow Joel to go, yes, yes, no, thank you, bye. Like, that's not the call you're trying to solicit or put together. But having open-ended, that enables them to talk and then shut up and let them go. Like I've heard too many of my own reps sometimes because they're so focused on what they want to say, they won't let the client talk. But the client's going to tell you what they need. So isn't that more important than what you think? And from there, you can quickly think through in your head, how to come back and work through. When you get great at it, I'm going to lead Rich Wagner in a conversation, and I'm going to bring Rich to the two objections that I want Rich to have because I have the stone cold responses to those that work every time. But that is when you're getting better and more sophisticated at this, right? You're going to learn your way to that. But again, planning the calls, thinking them through. Listen, if you are nervous about it, you're not really sure what to say, every single one of you can use ChatGPT. And with ChatGPT, you can role play, it's crazy but true, the call and ask chat for open-ended questions. Give me 5 open-ended questions. Give me 5 things that are hottest things happening in real estate in this general market right now, so I can ask a question how they've affected you, right? Start to make it regional, start to make it personal with the person. If you've gotten a referral, mention it so the person on the phone knows that you're a cool person to talk to. Their friend already stamped you and validated you for them. And the more that happens, the easier it'll be for your business to grow.
yeah.
And that's really, that's like the Mecca. That's the juice. I mean, that's the awesome stuff. You stop prospecting and people are calling you, which is amazing. And for the younger people on the call here today, if you really will invest 12 months of your life, 12 months, you can have that happen for you. I'm not talking about a long time, 12 months, man. If you're 27 to 28, 32 years old, and you're just jumping into this business and you really invest for 12 months, you could have a cool 60 more years. Like, isn't that trade worth it? Or do you want to keep looking for something to do every 12 months, trying to figure it all out? Because as Rich alluded to, yeah, this can be a lot of fun, but it also, you know what, can be really lucrative, right? It can be really lucrative. And AI is an amazing tool, and we've talked about this a lot in our office. I think every job in front of the keyboard can be replaced. But I think and I believe what it'd be hard pressed to replace will be one-on-one dialogue with real people, because humans, we're all going to get programmed to use machines, but we still like to talk to humans. I can tell you for myself, I will, no joke, I'll pull the hair out of my head when I'm speaking to Indonesia. When I'm waiting, just like you guys, for the overnight responses, because, you go into Portal and you drop your questions in the chat and no one responds no matter how many times you put your questions in, right? You just want to put a bullet in your head. And then sure enough, if you were willing to sit up between midnight and 2 a.m. when India reopens, damn it, there's your response. And you're not going to get another shot till a whole nother cycle. So for our company, we said, we're not going to do it that way. We're only going to do things down the East Coast in our time zone so people like yourselves can get answers all day in our portal. And that's what we decided to do because we were so frustrated by it. Again, I started out by saying, what's in it for me? And that's what we thought about as a customer. In this case, the broker coming to us as a customer. What frustrates the customer, the broker? Not being able to get answers, right? People have bitched at me for 10 years about that, about I'm too slow, I'm this, I get it. But now, if we're going to use automation to a very high level, we don't want to be so dependent on automation that we lose track of you. So we decided everyone who will communicate with you is going to go up and down. If they're in South America, they're in Central America, they're going to be in our time zones or Central Zone only, Central and Eastern, so that the majority of the country is covered all the time, right? Because the West Coast, for some of you, if you work through the West Coast, I'd say by like 7 p.m. P Coast time, they're kind of shut down, which is 10 o'clock Eastern. Our traffic stops from the West Coast around 8:30 our time, is like 5:30. They're definitely an earlier business closure on the West Coast. They have to get up so early. It's understandable.
Yeah. Kevin had a question earlier. I don't know if you still have one, Kevin. Sorry about that.
Well, maybe I can still ask it. Maybe it's still relevant. But you mentioned, hi Joel, haven't seen you in a while, and hi
Yeah.
Brandon, haven't seen you in a while either. You mentioned Kiabi, and they are the biggest lender as we know, and but it was my understanding that if you give them a client similar to Zillow, that they will own the client and you can't you know, prospect them for future loans.
I don't know how they could do that, but are they going to retarget them in their bases? Absolutely.
Well,
But the beautiful part about that is you get to do the same thing to them if you understand how to find their clients, right? All the mortgages are recorded. I learned that the hard way, embarrassingly, in 1996.
so I started
You know,
back in 1984.
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, somebody came to
yeah.
me, you could refi the property. How do you know I have the property, right? Anyway, I didn't realize, but
Yeah.
we're picking counties that we want to be in based on, average dollar value. And then we do what they do to us. Except I'm not trying to get all of their base, right? I don't want, I mean, we do them, but we're not going to actively go to Memphis to find all the $68,000 DSCR loans we can find. But we might go to Boston to find all the $420,000 ones we can find, right? We might go to DFW to the couple of counties. We might go to Seattle, Washington. We might go to 2, 3 cities in California to compete, parts of Florida. Look, those areas, Texas, Florida, California, have cooled off a lot, but they still make the top 10 list of loans being produced just because of pure size. So I wouldn't just ignore them. I think that's a mistake to just ignore them.
So
And
you,
and if you do a fix and flip loan for somebody, then you should be able to get the DSCR loan if it's a buy and hold, right?
You would hope so. Look, I mean, you
Right.
can't lose track of the
If you
customer.
keep in contact.
You right, exactly, Kevin. To Chrissy's question earlier, that persistency and consistency is what wins over time, right? The lowest barrier for the customer is just to keep using Kevin because they're comfortable with Kevin. Kevin has all their documents. Kevin knows where to go find competitive pricing. So why am I going to spend my whole day when I could be spending it looking for the next good deal, right? So together we have a business instead of just this one-off thing. And the sooner you can get away from being the schmuck broker to their consultant, the better off you are. You're building a career instead of a job, right?
Mhm.
These are simple things. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I am proof of being lucky enough to stand around here after all these years and still doing it, that it does work.
Yep.
Really does. And I would tell you in our office, 1 or 2 of the people in their late 20s have really pounded it out for 3 years. And those guys have serious books of business now. They spend $0 on marketing. Zero. When we buy leads, they don't even ask for them. They spent 3 years building that book and changed their life in their 20s. So unless you're really afraid of the phone, you can do it. I mean, there is nothing different between me, you, them. There's zero difference. None of them graduated, one at Harvard. One guy, English is a second language. English is a second language, right? No one asks him. Nobody cares. They know that he's consistent as hell. He shows up in their dialer, inbox, text message, every 36 hours, whether you're already closed or not. And, you might go to dinner with him, you might go hang out, do something down to the shore at an outdoor bar, whatever it is. He has built relationships. Him and the other, they're good at it. They're very good at it. And, you try to get the other people just to watch. It's like, I'm an old guy. These are your contemporaries, and look what they've done. Forget about what I'm telling you. Think that's cute from an old guy, but they're your contemporaries and they're showing you the path and you refuse to take it. Well, that's on you. I think most people fail in this business because they give up too early, right? They just give up too early because they made 10 calls and it didn't work out. Well, I don't know. Without exaggeration, I probably made over 50,000 calls where people told me to go F myself. Maybe not directly, but some way professionally, nicely, right? And the guy who's a mentor to me in the real estate biz is a very long-term player, 40-year guy. And, he was explaining to me that all those no's, it's not they don't like Brandon. It's just it wasn't right for them now. They didn't say, I don't want money, Jimmy. Liz, I don't want money from you ever. They never said that. They just said no right now. They didn't say, don't ever call me again. Right? So why would you wait for everybody else to keep calling them and hope it works out? That's not a good strategy. That's not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. It's been proven over and over again, right? So again, maybe something came up. Maybe somebody has a new program. Maybe something's interesting out in the market. You can talk about it with people, bringing them up to speed, making them aware of things, right? Wholesale laws are changing a lot. Lenders, what we're all willing to do. We're doing a deal today where I don't even know how, but there's a $90,000 wholesale fee where the underlying was a $175,000 purchase and we're financing it all. I think that's insane, but we're doing it without an appraisal. Complete insanity in my mind. But at the end of the day, Genesis through Goldman Sachs says, here's the money, you're allowed to do it. We do it till they say no. As long
Where's
as
it located?
that one, I know you're going to blow your mind, but it's in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Right,
That's
exactly.
even-
Philly's not Baltimore in the cutout do not fly zone, but it's definitely people are definitely paying attention hard here, and certain zip codes in particular are getting redlined.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that we got away with doing that. I had the guy ready to pay for a full appraisal. They told me we didn't need to use it. I'm like, you sure? Because he's expecting us to fund this. And I can't go to the table and tell him at the last second, oops, sorry. The broker who brought it to me will kill me. And that guy's pretty good pro. I don't want that guy to kill me. Plus, he's a nice guy anyway, and I don't want to screw up his lunch, right? So, we had to make sure. But so things, they're changing all the time. And again, as you get better clients, you're going to get more flexibility that way. I mean, one of the guys in the office wanted to fund who knows someone who could fund a 644 credit score at 9,100 on their second deal. Who knows somebody in the country that will do that for us? So, it's doable. There's a place to go, but is that really what you want to build your business on? Or do you want to go find the next people with 740 to 780 where everybody wants to fund your deal? And now you can just concentrate on finding them the best terms so you create a really happy relationship. Because I guarantee you, those types of people all have friends who look like them.
That kind of reminds me.
What's that?
I was gonna say that reminds me of how we've talked about saying no to more things just from the get-go instead of
I
chasing to
I
find.
have sucked at it for years, but you got to do it. Like the time is the most important thing we have. And now, jokingly in the office, but not jokingly, I got 5,000 days or less to go. So do I really want to spend it chasing things I can't do? Not really. Right? I know that sounds somber, but in our business, your time is even more valuable than anything else. So, being realistic with yourself, putting together pipelines that look good that you can't close, what good is that? Right? In the beginning, people are like, all right, I got 10 in the pipe. All right, wonderful. One closes. Okay, not terrible. That's 10%. Now let's get the pipe to 30. So three close. What do you mean three? Like, yo, what do you think? You're magically going to go from 10% closing to like 50 all in one swoop? Not till you have good clients, are you going to change that ratio a lot. As you build that book of consistent good clients, yeah, you can get your closing ratio up to 30%, maybe even slightly more, but that's really good, right? Those are good, solid borrowers that are going to close like that for you. I mean, we have one guy who's closed 34 times in 36 months, right? We charge him one in and one out. And he just to Kevin's point, he just goes, fix and flip. We just about break the rules of how little the renovation budget has to be. Sometimes, oops, he forgets to draw it. And then we go to DSCR loan, right? So, you're learning how to do that and you're getting good at it. You're planning that strategy with your customer. And again, in planning those types of strategy sessions with them, you're getting away from being a broker. There's nothing wrong with being a broker, but as you change to consultant, your income's going to go up a lot. You're going to do a much better job of retaining your hair and not having an ulcer. And you're going to work with people who respect you. And last I checked, we all want that, right? I mean, it should be mutual, that's true. But for a while, it's going to start only one direction, and you want to change that quickly. You don't want to spend your whole day getting beaten up. It's not fun. I've spent years like that. It's no good, no bueno. And changing that and providing information for people on a consistent basis without being afraid that they'll take that information and go elsewhere is going to start to separate you from the pack. And you don't want to be part of the pack. Being part of the pack means just the same as every business you're in. You're average. Average sucks. There's not one of you that's ever gone to sleep dreaming to be average. Not one, right? You got a friend who woke up and said, yeah, I had this amazing dream last night. I was a C student. I made $22,000 a year, and I was driving a car that's 23 years old with rust all over it. I don't think so, right? Not really. Not trying to be a wise guy, but not really. You're on the south of France. You got the banging Range Rover. You were playing at the $100 craps table, and you were winning, right? I mean, come on. There's no reason to dream small. That's insane. But as you start to put yourself in a better financial position by having a budget and getting things under control, having balance in your life, that dream becomes more of reality as you keep putting policies, procedures, and standards in place and uphold yourself to them. Things start to change. I mean, I'm a living example of it. I mean, I was completely broke in 08 through 10. It's documented, it's in the book, it's online. I lost $4.2 million in 18 months. And that's more money than most people make in their life. And I lost it pretty damn quick. And I had a choice. After 6 weeks of laying around thinking, oh my God, woe is me, I realized it didn't kill me. And I just kind of went back to work and it wasn't fun for a long time. But that consistency, being crazy enough to show up every day and then thinking about what you really wanted and how you're going to go get it. And having, I had three really good friends. I went from 100 people who I could buy dinner for to three best friends who are still three of my best friends to this day. And, they just wouldn't accept the nonsense and helped me push through. So I'm very thankful to them. And it helped me in this business tremendously. They just kept forcing me to get better and keep learning and keep doing what we do. Before we were on here today, we were on in New York with a mayor of a town talking about demolishing the building next to ours and how we can get rid of that eyesore. So, we still buy and sell real estate and hold it. I still am a believer. It's been working since the beginning of the Bible and Amazon, Apple, Google haven't taken that away yet. They may eventually, but for now, I still am a believer. So I view that as a way to save money for my long term, for my kids and whatnot. Again, one of the tragedies that I've seen in this business is people building nice businesses, making 300 to $750,000 a year and having no savings. That's a crime. That's a crime. You're making 500 grand a year and you're telling me you can't put away 50 grand, but someone making $80,000 a year can figure out how to put away 15 grand. I mean, that's shame on you. To have to call up at a closing to borrow money when you're getting a commission and still ask for an extra thousand from me as a favor, I get it back on the next closing for you. That should never happen when you're 60 something years old, right? That's ill planning when you're 40. And I've been through divorce twice. I know the pain. I've lost real money. I just told you out loud. I'm not saying every day is easy. It's not. But you owe it to yourself to take care of your plate. And if you're not going to use this business, which can be a great business and very lucrative too, and fun to meet great people like you that are willing to invest in themselves, be here today, and continue on that route, you're making a bad mistake. I really feel for you, but I can't change that for you. Only you can. So I feel like there's a great opportunity. I think our business is going to double in the next 36 months in size. Um, and that's great opportunity for you guys. You keep getting better at what you're doing, learning and understanding what the programs really are, what the real estate really looks like and feels like, understanding what's happening in different sectors of the country, staying on top of where you should be rotating and pivoting to so that you're getting the best opportunities, understanding where to find really good clientele, which is right on line for us. All the crack addicts are clearly displayed. You can go to a company called Forecasa and look at their information, get a trial to Forecasa real quick, copy it, and then cancel, whatever. But you can see who's putting out the big numbers and where they are. And again, the two biggest players in the industry that dominate over 50% of the total volume, Kiavi and Rock, suck at DSCR. They're barely interested, right? 90% of their flow is fix and flip and new construction.
Like, how do they suck? You like what are they doing wrong?
I don't know that they're doing anything wrong. They just don't put any energy and effort into it. It's a lot more labor intensive, the DSCR loan, and it lasts with you on your books. Like RTL foreclosure is much lower than people think, and the loans move every 8 to 12 months. I get a call, Kevin, somebody from a back office on an asset management desk calls me up 18 months later, 14 months later, 36 months later, same appraiser did 5 appraisals, all in the same zip code, and the guy's defaulted on 05. We want you to take the loans back. Like, dude, it's 18 months later. What do you mean take the loans? Well, we buy a lot of loans from you, Kevin, and we'd hate to stop doing that. So what are you going to do? You got to buy them back. It doesn't matter if they got 800 more on their books from you. They don't like these 5. Well, I can't run the risk that they won't buy the next 100 next month. So that's why a lot of people rotate to RTL because that doesn't exist, right? That's not happening out there. Plus, RTL for the broker side is lucrative fast, right? 2 points on $400,000, 8 grand sounds a lot better than 2 points or 3 points on 118,000 to me. And that person who's doing those types of DSCR loans usually, as you guys, men and women know, probably takes more hand holding too.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah, I
margins
think
are really small.
yeah, we talked about possibly, diving into doing more of those types of loans. We find a lot of people are afraid to do the RTL loans, but our experience has been that yes, they close fast, you get paid fast, then you can get them, on the next one.
Right. To Kevin's point, you can build your own book of DSCR loans, right? Half of those RTL loans and construction loans are going to then term out. About half now. Used to be very low. It used to be 20%, but that's flipped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at Burr Loans itself, there was a time we were about 85% DSCR, and now we're probably 50-50. And, having the opportunity to turn those over to long-term loans with people you know is awesome. And if you know the person, you know who you want to give the best rate to, and the other one is a quote competitive rate so that they'll go elsewhere because you don't want them on your books for 5 years, right? You don't think lenders are thinking that way? You're wrong. You're wrong. If that borrower's voicemail box is full all the time when they call up to bitch about draws, next, right? I know nobody in America listens to a voicemail, but I should be able to leave one because our communication at the honeymoon stage is never going to get better than right then. And if it sucks then, when's it going to get better? When I'm chasing you for a payment? No, I don't think so, right? That's a death sentence for me. So, we want to work with people like yourself. We want to work with people who are honest professionals. We want to work with people who will help in the process. We want to work with people who point out once in a while when the bank statements look fraudulent, when the operating agreement is the same OA with different members every time, 3 times in 2 years, right? We keep track of that now. We don't want you to present the same operating company with different members 3 times to us in 2 years. That's not a good look. And the bigger companies are all starting to track that now. They used to not, but they definitely do. The last 2 years has been a lot of fraud, and people are on top of it more than ever now. And people are starting to use, and I think they will use plaid so that bank statements can't be faked, more like the residential industry. I think they're going to go that way soon because people have been burnt with a few large bank statements in the recent couple of months, 1 million to 5 million type of balances that were fraudulent. And I think you're going to see more pushback that way.
Yeah.
You're getting more and more AI doing searches on different documentation and whatnot. I mean, for our company, one of the things that we're trying to work to ourselves is if you can give us a full file in the portal, we want to be able to same day and get down to 15 minutes to approve your loan. We
Mhm.
believe that'll be market disruptive.
Mhm.
And the only way we can do that at size is to use technological tools, right?
Yeah.
So, we have an AI agent that reviews the credit report. We have an AI agent that reviews the background report. They send out the application all filled out for you, and all you have to do is sign. It orders the appraisals. It reviews the appraisals. It has this 12 boxes that we have to check to make sure the appraisal is okay. It's searching with AMCs to make sure which appraisers are already on the do not use list. So in case you want, the customer says, oh, we got to have this person. Well, we got to work through that together, right? You know, in a lot of cities, that's becoming taboo now, and people are pushing and paying attention to it. So we have to all work together to pay attention to these things,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, Joel, we are getting close to 4.
Yeah,
I wanted to give anybody that had a question the opportunity
yeah,
to
please.
ask a question if anybody has anything. Maybe there's none.
No, well, what's in the chat?
Oh, so yeah, well, we've got a few things in the chat. Charles does a ton of fix and flips and hold them.
Charles, what area are you located in?
I'm in upstate New York near Saratoga Springs.
Okay.
So we do business in about 7 states now, and all the things reduce that really resonate with me because we have our own little fund. So any fix and flip, new construction, any project based, any of the short-term paper, we hold it. We launched a fund in 2024, but on the institutional side, we're always looking to, either refi some of our own paper, or we go to a lot of the real estate investor association meetings, and we do sponsorships there. I get up and talk and present and
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff. But we go to RCN. We do a ton of business with RCN and probably half a dozen DSCR lenders there. Because we don't hold any of that long-term paper. So, we've gone into the county clerk's office. We research all the different competitors and kind of pursue a lot of those borrowers as well, just like you talked about. And that's been, we building a book of business in terms of our borrowers. So, Um, you know, all the things you said, Plaid, the fraud that's out there, you know, we're kind of looking at all that now. You mentioned, I think you mentioned, I was on a different program, but we're implementing that Liquid Logics, which is
Yeah.
a company.
Yep.
We went out to see them about a week ago, 2 weeks, about a week ago. Got stranded with that whole TSA thing in Baltimore. But putting that aside, we're doing the origination platform, the mortgage
Mhm.
servicing, and then the fund module. And then obviously going to incorporate Plaid with that. We don't use Plaid now. Our DSCR lenders do sometimes, but yeah, I mean, it comes down to all the marketing and all the networking that we do. And the real estate investor associations have been the biggest, um, the bang for our buck. I mean, I have a sponsorship at one. We do millions and millions of dollars in business through them, in tons of bank foreclosures, auction properties. I mean, these are deal junkies, but
Yeah.
we've kindled some long-term relationships. I got a husband and wife team. They brought us a deal, and then we ended up doing 21 more loans with them, not like all at the same time, over
Right.
time. But hey, here's a relationship. You did 22 mortgages for them, and now they
Right.
got, two and three at a time coming. They got a really nice process. They can fix something quickly, put it on the market, sell it, come back. I got another one. And then all the people that are buying these multifamilies now, I mean, they're fixing and flipping the single families. And then you got all the people, everybody wants multifamily. And that's where we do a lot of the DSCR stuff on the, 2 to 4 families, the 5 and 6s, we still do as well. Um, so,
Well, you get sort of in the New England area, a lot of those widow and orphan buildings, those 5, 6, 7 unit type buildings.
mhm.
And, for a lot of borrowers, it's not so simple to go to a commercial bank. So even though they got to pay 100 basis points higher, you're still the answer.
Yeah, I
Your
had
cash
a
flow
yeah,
well.
I had a 5 unit. I was a couple weeks ago. I had a 5 unit deal. I mean, the guy, he went to credit unions, banks, whatever, came to
Mhm.
us. We did a DSCR. We closed
Yep.
at 6.5%. 6.5%. And I'm like, the mortgage rates on 1 to 4 family on a fully documented loan are in, half a point lower. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Right.
You got this limited doc thing here. Tell me your experience. Let me do this, and then come and over here, tell me everything about your unborn child. And we're talking a half a point, you know?
When I first started in the business, people would say, oh, you guys must have the worst borrowers in the world, right? Oh, the dredges of the earth. But there's a lot of people, to your point, that have 800 credit scores that own a whole bunch of properties. And when they go to a bank and they're asked about the other 80 properties they own, they're really not interested. They have that one property, the 5 family. You just ask them questions about the 5 family. Yeah, they know if they go through all the pain, they could get 50 bips, 100 bips lower. But you make it painless and simple, and the closing process is much easier in a bank. Let's just do the one off and go.
We had years ago, I was a financial advisor, and I had investors, that had money with me, and families and just business owners. FICO scores as close to 850 as you can. Portfolios, oodles of money, stocks, bonds, and Bank of America owned Merrill Lynch. And I'd have to go get these guys a mortgage. Like, oh, I want
That's
to go, and
crazy.
they could pay cash for this house.
Yep.
It was very, very difficult to get them these mortgages. I'd go to Bank of America because they wanted you to cross sell them and bring it to us. And well, they don't really have earned income. They got this portfolio income. I'm like, these people can write a check for this house. Are
Right,
you
right.
kidding me? They got credit scores off the thing, and it was very difficult. And our the people we work with now, I mean, they got some decent scores. They got performance, and I always
Mhm.
say, let me tell you, you can have a 4 inch thick mortgage file, you can have a 1/4 inch thick. Life happens, divorce, death, all these things. You lost your job. I don't care how thick the folder is. At the end of the day, when they go bad, you're looking for the equity in that deal. And did you
Yep.
underwrite it? And I'll take that 1/4 inch file over this one where they had no equity and it was a fully documented loan. That means nothing.
I agree. We have customers, like a lot of the people here, long-term clients. They have 800 credit scores, lots of liquidity, lots of assets. And, maybe they don't love their Irish uncle, Uncle Sam. So they don't report all the income, right? So every 100,000 you save 40 grand. Well, that person clearly understands that it's worth paying, 7.25 for a bank statement mortgage versus, getting a 6.25 rate and paying out 40,000 every 100, right?
Mhm.
People are like, oh, that's crazy. I know maybe it's crazy for you, but these people are all self-employed and they're saving money, they have great credit. To your point, Charles, they could buy the house literally. They're getting mortgages with 50% down, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac says they don't qualify,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy, but there are a couple of portfolio lenders that are still around in the market that will give people, what looks like a non-conforming 30-year fixed rate loan or 15-year or 20, and people pay a little higher and they get what they want,
Yeah.
you know. So there's a way to get it done. We're doing one now for a guy with $5.6 million who runs, without exaggeration, $250,000 a month through his account and reports less than 100 grand a year of earned income, right? I mean, come on, right? You really think the person's really doing that? I mean, no one will give him a mortgage, right? To your point, right? Citi, Chase, B of A, PNC, Wells Fargo all said no. They're like, well,
And
how
then
do
he's
you,
mad at them.
what's that?
And then he's mad at them for not giving him he curses them out.
Right. It's like I could buy this in cash. Well, maybe you should have, but I could obviously make the payment. You're right. So we have to go to a different kind of lender. Oh, that rate's ridiculous. Sir, one year you paid almost 2 million in taxes and you said you would never do it again. Well, this is what happens.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off, but you're way ahead in the trade-off. Oh, you're right, I guess. Right. But if you can have a frank, honest conversation with the person, you win them for life.
Yeah.
Right. It changes the parameter of how you're working with them. You're being honest, you're not being obnoxious, you're just talking. I think to Christy's point or question earlier, like those are the kinds of conversations you want to work your way towards with people. And as you do, you're going to have a much higher closing ratio because they respect you. They want to work with you. They believe in you. You will deliver, right? You're the man or woman who delivers all the time, right? You're Domino's Pizza. You never forget to show up, right?
Yeah.
You get to the table all the time. I mean, it's funny, but it's real. And that's what people want. They want that confidence without being obnoxious. They want competence without faking it. And they want you to, give and take a little, couple punches, you throw one or two once in a while when it's appropriate because you built that kind of relationship long term with the people. You could have some fun, you build nice relationships, go to one of their
I,
kids' weddings,
I think the big thing on the relationship side, I mean, you know, uh, we have borrowers that borrow from us, pay us off, borrow again. I mean, and they're just constantly, I mean, these are long-term
yeah,
relationships. And they're not doing one deal and then they never come back to you again. These are constant. I mean, I had somebody in our real estate investor association, a woman, young woman. I mean, she's got a tool belt. She drives up to the job site with a truck. I mean, this lady works. And she's done like 7 deals with us now. Had dinner with her a couple weeks ago, and she's like, "I want to do more. I want to grow. I'm looking at this." I'm like, "We're right behind you. You've performed for us for years. You do wonderful work. We got to know you really well. I mean, just getting to know these borrowers, and they don't quibble about the rate. And we're not gouging anybody here.
right. As
Everybody's
long as
got to
you're
make some
reasonably
money.
fair.
Yeah,
I feel like one mistake a lot of people make, Chrissy, you asked me before and I didn't bring it up. The entrepreneur of America does not look like me anymore. The entrepreneur of America is a foreign-born American, second generation, who's now a U.S. citizen. There are women. There's a lot of divorced single moms that have a kid who are already great at budgeting. They're great at time management, right? They've been doing fix and flip in their own house in their own life. It's just nobody helped them see that yet. And they're taking those same skills and applying it, to Charles's point. They got a great truck, they're organized, they're professional, they give you a scope of work that's solid. And women are growing as investors. They're not 1.5 out of 10 anymore. They're probably 3. And you need to be in touch with that. So I spend most of my time, won't come out right, talking to women, foreign born, Latino Hispanic community, the African American community. Like these are where the entrepreneurs of America are. And they're again, they don't look like me. So I don't spend that much time working with people like myself anymore. And I think depending on where you are in your cycle of your career, you got to really be conscious of that and think about who you're trying to find, right? Because I want to find a 34-year-old person who's on the march and has already got three under their belt, and I want to help them do the next 12, one a quarter for 3 years. And I want them to feel obligated to give me one or two of their friends over lunch and bring their friends to the lunch and learn together, where we, I don't know, whatever, we go to a local pizzeria, Italian food place. And in New Jersey, there's millions of those every inch. And, sit down with two other people that are not doing loans with yet, but their friend is telling them that you're the right person to do the business with. You're an honest guy or woman. You're pretty reasonable on the rates. They looked around the industry already, so their friend doesn't have to waste time doing that. And you're building that book of business, which, Charles is telling you, this is how it works beautifully, right? You start, you incubate them, you take them through growth, you keep growing with them. They bring you a friend. Now you have a second and third line of growth. And before you look at the end of the year, now you have at least one. So you have 12 now, one a month you found like that you built. Now you're up to 12. In year two, it multiplies. You got about 36 to 50 of them. And now you have a business, right? Those people are going to close 2 to 4 times a year each. Now you got 100 to 200 loans as you go to sleep every December 31st. I mean, that's how I started to think about it, going backwards, right? And we're very blessed. I mean, we're very fortunate.
Yeah.
We got lucky with the name. We got lucky. Brandon Turner put us on the map from Bigger Pockets. He thought we were part of the company. We explained to him we weren't. Jerry Landau, I saw his name was here. Jerry and I were there at BPCon. He took some pictures. We kind of went viral and went from doing 200 loans a year to 1,000. So, we owe it to Brandon with the beard. We joke around with him now when we see him around the country. But
Funny.
those opportunities, you never know where they're going to come from. So just be prepared all the time and, always working on your knowledge base. Think about how you're going to speak to people beforehand. What kind of questions do you want to ask so that it's interesting for them? Not, I want to pick your brain. Like Pace Morby doesn't want you to come pick his brain. But if you ask him 2 or 3 pointed questions, he may stop and talk, and then you never know, right? Look, it's a great business. It saved my life. And really, in doing it, it all just came down to talking to people. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't so significant. I didn't go to Harvard. You can see how I dress. I'm a really regular person. But knowing what you're doing well and being able to get that across to people is what will separate you from the pack. And you want to be separated from the pack. The top of the funnel is wide open. There's always room at the top of the funnel for you. And at the bottom, where there's scarcity of resources and people are just killing each other, you don't want to be there. Too many people in our business stay there and just, never get to where they want to be. But I feel like there's a great opportunity out there and it's going to double in the next 36 months. I think if you do your work now, you'll be really well poised to really kick ass.
Thanks so much, Joel.
I appreciate the opportunity to come on and just talk with everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to do this again next week, same time, same place, same link works actually. I put the link to burr.com in the chat if anybody wants to check out Joel's website, and they work with brokers. He has a great new platform.
Yeah, we'd be happy to demo the platform for you with the portal. It goes end to end all the way now. So it's really simple. You can drop all into one folder. Our AI sifters take all them and put them in the appropriate places. And then you don't have to talk with an AI chatbot. You can talk to a human.
Yay, humans.
Yeah. Oh, I also put a PDF you guys can download. It's just it's a scaling framework for scaling your brokerage. So it covers, all of the important aspects to create a successful business. And also I put a link to our new community that we're building where we're going to be doing calls like this every week. And it's called Private Money Pros. It's a school group. So you can check that link out if you're interested in that. just there to help everybody grow and grow together and interact with each other and have these conversations, which are so valuable because we all work from home usually. Not Joel, but a lot of us do. So
I know sometimes it's frustrating for people or they're nervous about like someone's going to give away a secret or something, but I think as you become more comfortable and confident in your own knowledge, that will start to fade for you. And you can just learn so much from other people. People who've been punched in the face like me a few times can help you. Other people who've had amazing success in a lane and you learn about that and you get good at it can open a lot of doors for you. I mean, Charles is in an area I was going to ask, do you do anything in the Buffalo market, Charles?
We do stuff in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse.
Okay.
Obviously,
You know Jimmy Roberts up there?
no, I don't. I mean, we have I used to travel out to Buffalo, and my daughter lives in Rochester. We just know a lot of
Yeah.
contractors and just a lot of people over there. I don't go out there as often as I used to, because years ago I used to get involved in a lot of building projects and with a multifamily developer. But yeah, I mean it's Buffalo's a big market out there, Rochester,
Yes.
all that, you know.
Yep.
That's west of
That's
me.
pretty good
That's four,
too.
that's 4 hours away from me, 5 hours away
Yeah,
from me.
easily.
Yeah.
Cha is pretty good too.
Hmm.
About
You know,
45 minutes from me.
you're in what, Toronto?
Niagara Falls.
Niagara
Oh,
Falls.
Niagara Falls. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I have friends on Keele Street in Toronto.
Oh, nice. That's a great street.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Everything costs. It's unbelievable how expensive everything is there. But anyway,
No, it's intense. It's
I live
wild.
in New York Metro and I think that. So it's really
I know
insane.
I've actually done comparisons several times of like
It's
this,
crazy.
like, well, between Toronto and New York, and it's kind of alarming how similar it's getting.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is nuts. But anyway, look, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. And
Thanks,
I
Joel.
look forward to being able to participate in any way I can help people. We're here to help, answer questions. Hopefully it'll be less me, more interactive with questions. I think that'd be great for everybody and helpful, as people think through their weeks and what's coming up for them and what they see happening around them. And, if you need something kind of behind the scenes at one of these big monstrosities, I pretty much know all the people that own them, so I can help you. If you have a problem somewhere and you need to get access to somebody, you know, put it in some way through Chrissy or Brandon, get a hold of me and I can help you. All right.
thank you.
you will be in the community, and also we'll send out Joel's contact information too in an email, so you guys all have it.
Yep. And like Chrissy said, he'll be on for the next three Wednesdays where we'll try to address different topics and different
Mhm.
things. So if you guys, have other questions or things you want to have covered, great, think about that. I probably should have asked, or one of us should have asked earlier, if there is something that you wanted to learn about, you can put it in chat now while we're still here, and maybe we could work it into one of the next calls, but we'll continue to do
Absolutely.
calls like this every week. And we'll have other people too, not always Joel, but Joel, as you can tell, probably barely touched the tip of the iceberg here on what he could share. And and I think between ourselves, Joel, some of the other people we know, there's
There's
an
some great
infinite
people in the
amount of wealth.
business.
Yeah.
Brandon's right. There really are some great people in the business, all kidding aside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody have a great rest of your week. Kick
Yeah.
ass out there. And I'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Damn.
Hands up, baby. All right. Have a great
Guys.
day.
Too.
Bye bye.
Awesome. Thank you all.